Dominic, wedding DJ.
And this is Serena, wedding planner.
And together we are
The Wedding Duo.
We are here to talk all things weddings.
Planning a wedding can be stressful, but we are here to help.
So before you say, that's it, we're going to Vegas, don't go to Vegas.
Let's have some fun.
Join us as we answer your wedding questions and help navigate planning one of the biggest days of your life with
The Wedding Duo.
Welcome once again to the Wedding Duo podcast. I'm Dominic. Tell me who you are.
I'm Serena. They probably already know that because the intro already
No, I was trying to sound like make it sound more official.
Yeah, official twice over. So
Should I use my radio voice?
no.
Welcome to
Please
Up
don't.
All Night with Dominic and Serena.
Oh, it's that radio voice.
That's
I
a
thought it
sexy
was
late
like
night
the
talk show.
sports announcer one.
Sunday.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the one I was talking about.
Let's get ready to no. That's
Wrestling?
I can't use. Yeah, no, I can't use that one. That one is what's the word? It's
Proprietary or
well, no, it's
copyrighted?
copyrighted. Bing, 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 bing,
infringement?
bing. I can't. Yeah,
Right, let's not do
copyright. I
that.
didn't want to say it. He patented it. That's what I was going to say. The guy patented it. I don't remember the guy's name, the announcer. But anyway,
Okay, that's a tangent. So we are here
You
for
know me
y'all
all.
for weddings. That's what we're going to focus on. Weddings, not wrestling
no,
infringement.
absolutely not. That's
Yeah.
not my vibe anyway.
Today,
Yeah, I was going to say we have a great topic today. I'm excited to talk about this one.
I am too, because I think with as much as we're on social media and a lot of the negativity that surrounds weddings sometimes, it's important to remember why you're going to do this, right? Like, why have a wedding? And so today's topic is basically like, if you're having this feeling of, I should elope, I shouldn't do this, we should just can the whole thing.
That's in the intro, remember? Like, that's it. We're going to Vegas, right?
Because it's
Because
common.
you will hit that at some point. That crossroads where you're like, do we keep going down this road, or do we just say, let's go to St. Lucia, or whatever? You're like,
Yeah.
we're going to Jamaica with all the money we could save. But why? So
Or even
why,
we're just going downtown,
This
right?
is
You
right.
don't necessarily need to go
we're
to
just
the
going downtown to get hitched. So why? Why
well,
do the
no,
wedding?
and I wanted to preface this by saying there's
Okay.
nothing wrong with
Disclaimer.
elopements,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
if that is your intention, your vibe, like if that's what you want for your big day, totally do it. We're talking about don't feel pressure or stressed to the point of wanting to elope.
Giving up the deposits. Yeah.
yes.
You're like, that's it.
And the negativity, again, I'm going to revisit this a lot on this episode that surrounds weddings. Don't let that get to you. And that's kind of what we're talking about today.
We had a rash of it lately. If I hear one more person come on one of my videos and say, stop talking, I can't hear this song, I go, what? I'm describing a moment for the bride to go down the aisle. You can hear this song literally anywhere else. So get off social media. If you're trying to jam to your music, get off social media and go turn on your music. Go to
Right.
Spotify, go to iTunes, whatever or Apple Music, whatever you want to do, go turn on the radio. But if you're on social media looking at wedding stuff, thinking of ideas to go down the aisle, I'm going to describe the moment. So thank you for your input.
Right. And so
That's it. We're going to Vegas. No, I'm just kidding.
that's the kind of stuff I'm referencing, right? So I'm in a lot of these brides groups. I've mentioned this before. I kind of snoop around on what y'all are talking about.
So research is what it is.
Exactly. And, a lot of times I hear about the stress and anxiety, and that is valid. I am not going to tell anyone that it is not a stressful process
Yeah.
or that you're not going to feel anxious. But a lot of times, part that I don't get or that I don't like hearing is like people who aren't getting married telling people who are getting married that they're just going to get divorced in 5 years, or why are they spending all this money on one day? Like, that kind of negativity
Or they're
really
disgruntled,
bothers.
like, well, I did this and we need to make it. Like, that's great. Why would you share that with somebody who's excited to get married?
Exactly.
Because there's no mystery. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but that doesn't matter. This is your moment. It's your time. And I know there's vendors out there, because we've mentioned it before, like, you spend a lot of money, you could have one hell of a vacation. And the other vendor's like, shut up, Dominic. But the wedding industry is not going anywhere. But it's not for everybody. The big event, especially if you just have, maybe you have a small family or you don't have much family, and you're like, who would we even invite? Like, I don't know or like 200 people,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe eloping is the absolute perfect. Bring a couple of your friends and head to the beach somewhere, or like you said, head downtown to the JOP and get it done.
Right. So we're not saying that elopements are bad. We just don't want anyone to feel that weddings are not good.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Because this is what I wanted to call the podcast, but we're calling it like elope ? Or Weddings
Itching
versus
to elope.
itching to a there you go. I wanted to say weddings can be magical.
Mhm.
Magical. And this one is to try to say get you back on track, not even look at the crossroads. So we're going full steam ahead, not just because the deposits are down, because the weddings are amazing.
Yes.
So what you want me to start? Go ahead. You start.
Well, I was gonna say the biggest thing for me, and maybe it's because we have kids now and we're a distance away from a lot of my family, but weddings are a tradition. Here in the US, it's like one of the only traditions for families, right?
It's
It
not just
really
in the
is.
US, every community, every
No, I
culture.
know, but other cultures have, like, different festivals and get-togethers and family things. I mean, we do too, but, like, I feel like weddings are, like, one opportunity to get people in one space from different times in your life, from different areas, it's just this wonderful opportunity to see people and have them meet your future spouse or then your spouse.
Wait, you're covering too many points. Let's just start with that one.
Okay.
You might like if you live close, you're in the same town with maybe a cousin or a friend or a parent, whatever, your sibling, and your niece is having a birthday party, you're probably gonna go because you're right there.
Right.
But if they live out of town, your cousins from other states, your aunt and uncle from wherever, from Boise, they're not coming in for the birthday party or the backyard barbecue
Probably
or the
not.
pool party. Probably not. A wedding, people book the flights, they take their vacation, they get a hotel, they pack up the car, whatever they're doing. People come from every corner. People fly internationally. There's
Yep.
sometimes people say like the somebody will get up on the mic, the father of the bride or the couple, and be like, "We want to thank the Johnsons coming from Germany and
Yep.
so and so from Singapore." I'm like, wow, people like, and then just all over the states, people make the trek to be there for you on that day
Mhm.
because they know how important it is to you and how special it is to support somebody on their wedding day. That's like one of the biggest like magical things. People understand it. They're like, "Oh, you're getting married?
Yeah.
Put in the vacation, right?"
Yeah, and I just feel like in today's society too, I don't want that to get lost, right?
No.
Like when I hear people commenting about like foreseeing divorce and that's like what they're talking about, it's like why is that the focus and why isn't it more about getting people together to celebrate the
Mhm.
relationship, right? The negativity just drives me nuts.
So, getting back to the happy stuff, you kind of started to allude to this. That somebody mentions this every time, and when you're there and you're running around, because we're on the clock, we're running around, we're trying to make sure that the photography gets all the pictures before we move into introductions, and I'm trying to line up the wedding party. But during the picture time, especially during cocktail hour, when you're getting all the pictures, right after the ceremony, traditionally, somebody will say like, this group of people will probably never be in the same room again, and
True.
it's very true because Christmas time, what do you come to the holidays like? Okay, we're gonna go to your family for Christmas,
Mhm.
but we're gonna go to my family for Thanksgiving. You don't get both families together
Not usually,
like you do on the wedding day.
right?
And so that's really cool to be like, look at your family's here, my family's here. Our cousins are with who would have never met had we not met. They're on the dance floor doing the wobble together. Like it's crazy sauce to see that happen. And it happens at a wedding. It doesn't happen like that group of people will never be together again. And the other thing that people may not be together again is you have 4 generations sometimes at a wedding,
True.
and you're capturing that picture, and you look up and you go, "There's grandma, there's my mom, it's my wedding day, and then my like,
My
your"
sister's kids or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
your
that
your sister's
generation.
kids are the and you're looking going like, "Holy cow," because maybe your sibling had a kid or like you said, there's babies, that generation is, like, coming in, and the grandma and grandpa are still there. That is a powerful picture that you were gonna capture,
Yes.
and that moment and again, that may not happen again, you know?
Right, right. And that is the feeling and the memories that we try so hard to surround you with, right? And that's why we find that it's really important in the planning process, and then again, of course, on wedding day, to keep our couples in what we call, like, the bubble of bliss,
Mhm.
right? Like, to not allow them to be inundated with too many questions or stressors, but you are. As you go through the process, there's gonna be days or weeks, where
Or just
where
parts. There's
or
gonna be
just
parts you're
parts.
working on that are frustrating as
Right.
opposed to fun.
Right. But if you can somehow in the back of your mind or, have a mantra that you say about the wedding that helps you stay focused on the reason you're getting married. And sometimes it really helps to ignore the people on social media,
Oh, for sure.
right? Like that is such a cesspool of like
Yeah.
of people who are just out there that wanna just poke, 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 and sometimes they're miserable or who knows where it's coming from, right? But that is not the reality for you, and it doesn't have to be the reality for you for your wedding.
For those of you out there listening, she keeps going back to this because it's been a frustrating run here
No,
lately.
it's
It's
not
like, no, you're in a zone. Like you're
I
like,
am.
and then
I
what about the people on social media? Like, well, we kind of covered that, but okay, let's bring it
I
up
know, I
one more
keep bringing it
time.
back.
It's okay. Go
But
ahead.
but
Get it
it's
out,
not
girl. Get
even
it out. Vent.
towards me, it's not even towards us. I see it bride to bride, right? Or outsider to the brides, like, that bothers me just as much as it is towards us.
But there's a lot of heroes out there that are like, will put in, they'll reply and be like, there's always one.
Yeah.
Or like, really?
They
Like,
come
then
to the
don't, like,
rescue.
because people are like, I would never do this in a million years. Like, okay, then don't. Like, nobody
Right.
said, like, "We're forcing this upon you." That's what we really try to focus on with our social media is, like, look at this cool thing that this bride is doing, and you may see 10 of those as you're scrolling, like, "Nope, nope, nope, never in a million years," and you'll see one like, "Okay, no, wait, 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 now this one,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute, now this one with a little tweak here," or maybe exactly as you saw it, like, "That's the thing that I was
Yes.
looking for," right? Because it is, it's so personal. Your wedding day is so personal. I got one more thing about the pictures. Are you ready for the pictures?
Okay, ready.
During cocktail hour, when you're taking pictures, it's exhausting. I always tell the couple, like, you're never gonna be asked to smile more in your life than on your wedding day,
So true.
and you're hopefully you're just smiling anyway because 'cause you're just so happy and thrilled and all the things are happening, but the pictures, the lift your chin, turn your head, drop your bouquet, all the relax your shoulders, all the things the photographers tell a couple that they're trying to do.
Mhm.
And then we're rotating through, "Okay, thank you, wedding party you're released. Johnson family, where's Uncle Phil? Uncle Phil, like, he was just here, like, tell him not to change his suit," all the things that people are trying to do. And you are in that moment, you're, like, rushing, you're trying to say, "Are we okay on time? Who has my lip gloss? Can you touch up my makeup? Can you give me some water?" All the things, but I hope sometimes photographers out there will pause and be like, they do it sometimes like, "Oh my god, guys, this picture, oh my god, you look so
They
great."
show them
They
the
do it, and they
back
show
of
them
the
the
camera.
picture during
Yep.
the shot because you see the shot, but also to say like, "Look at the generation," like, just to see that moment when you have that moment, because it's like, it's easy because we always talk about pump the brakes. I've taken that moment when the doors open and everybody sees you in your dress before you get on the aisle, like, stop, taking that moment. But you can do that almost any time of the day because
Yes.
there's so many massive major things that are happening.
And I try to that point, right? Like, I really try to fit in at least 5 minutes at the end of cocktail hour when I've done the bustle, because usually we, like, sneak into the bride's
Mhm,
quarters, right? And the couple have just gotten married. Yes, they've gone through pictures, but they're literally, like, an hour from being married.
mhm.
And I tell them, "Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys alone for, like, a few minutes, like, don't do anything too crazy, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
we
need
gotta
to we need to go into the room at some
yeah,
point, but
the hair,
don't
we
mess up her
don't
hair." Yeah. So, but that's just a great opportunity for me to, like, force them to, like, have that moment in a
mhm.
sense, right? And look at each other and say, "Oh my gosh, look what we just did."
You
And
know
it's times like that that you will remember and look back
yeah,
on.
you know what I always say is I always like to, and I like to be the first, but I don't try, no, I do, sometimes I try to be the
Yes, you
first.
do
I
try to be
walk
the
up and
first.
I was like, "Hey, congratulations," like, right after, like, they just came down the aisle, and I go, "Where's your husband? Wait, let me go talk to your husband, or get the mic off your husband," and she kinda goes,
Yeah.
"Eh." I'm like, "Am I first? Am I first to call him your husband?" She goes, "You are." I go, "Ah, I'm first to call the husband."
That's
Or else
because you,
I
like,
always
race to do it.
I don't race. I'm oftentimes getting my microphone off the groom.
No,
That's
it's
what
true.
oftentimes I'm like, let me just take the mic off of your husband here. And they're like, or I'll tell the groom, like, I was just talking to your wife, and they kind of look for a second because it just catches them off guard. Like, oh my God, you're right. That's my wife now, right? But and then I always ask to look at their hand and say, "Hey, welcome to the club," and I'll slap his hand.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I've seen you do that
I've
too.
done that a million times. But okay, I have another picture thing.
Okay.
Ready? And this is not the day of pictures, but one thing that I think is really cool. Here's the thing. You may want to steal this idea on the sign-in table, sometimes a cake table, they'll have, if everybody's still together, right? Going back to the divorce thing, if your parents didn't make it, that's fine. But if your parents are still together, they'll have the pictures of groom parents, bride parents, if it's groom and bride, their pictures from their wedding day on the cake
Right?
table. And then we've seen grandparents from both sides.
Yep.
And then we've seen there've been a couple people that they went into the archives, great
Great-grandparents.
grandparents,
Yes.
and then great grandparents. I swear we had one like that. And I
Yep.
just like was blown away. I'm like, because I love that stuff too, the whole genealogy. I love when people
History.
and they dig up the pictures because, again, if there's ever a picture that you save, oh my god, this is
True.
from our wedding day, and it's in a frame, and you can find those. I mean, I heard grandpa worked in the coal mines. Like, okay, there's no pictures of that, but their wedding day, there's a picture from the wedding day. So anyway, if you're thinking of that idea, find a picture of your parents or your grandparents and put it on the cake table or the sign-in table, and it's so cool
And
because
what do they call it? We call it generations of love.
yeah, that's true. But to stop and kind of pause and be like, there's gonna be people at your wedding, like maybe your auntie or your uncle are there, and they're gonna walk up and see your parents' picture and be like, I was there.
Yes.
They cut me out of this picture. I was on the side, but they cut me. They cropped it right there. Or you could say like, I had just fixed this tie right before this picture was there. They were there, and here they are on your wedding day, taking pictures of you. And someday your kids may have this picture that was just taken on their table on their wedding day. Not your kids, but you're one of your children with somebody else's kid. Ideally,
Right.
right? That's not legal. But
That's true.
it's just like you just taking these moments, and it's like that is powerful stuff, huh?
It is. It is. And I feel like it's such a great opportunity, and we've already mentioned this, but, like, to introduce your side of the family to his side of the family, right? Like, your aunts and uncles can get to know his parents, same on the other side, and that doesn't just happen regularly unless you're, like, all from the small town and everybody knows each
Sure.
other, but
Hopefully, you're happy to introduce them. Like, so this is my parents. Just kidding.
The other thing I was thinking too, like, when we were talking about, like, why get married? Like, why have not why get married, but why have a wedding? I really feel like it gives you something like a moment in time where you make this commitment to each other, right? And it's because day to day stuff, like days go by, you don't always take the opportunity to sit down and talk to each other and tell the person that you love why you love them and why you're committed to them, right? And so it really is this signal of like kind of the shift in the relationship for the two of you. That's what it should represent, right? Like we're making this commitment to each other.
And people, I always ask too, like, if I'm at a house, are you going to do personal vows? Are you going to do repeat after me at the altar?
Right.
And that's one of the things that I'm looking for. Am I going to mic up the groom or just the officiant? And then I always ask, like, are you going to cry? Is he going to cry? What are the odds on the crying? Like,
Mhm.
what's the over under on the tears? And sometimes I go, oh yeah, I'm gonna cry because the bride's seen him, the fiance has seen that person cry a bunch because they're just emotional. Leave it
Like
alone.
you
Leave it
be.
alone. But there are people that are like, no, he's not. He's stoic. But that moment, that is such a big moment. They're up there trying to read their vows. Even the strongest of men that are like, never. That
Oh,
gets them.
it gets them.
That'll get them. I had one. They were a police officer. Remember, they met. She
Mhm.
was dispatch, and he was a cop. And all the groomsmen were cops. And afterwards, they came back and they were all around waiting for their picture. And I was striking my gear for the ceremony. And the cop said, like, I haven't seen him cry like that since he got hit with pepper spray. I'm like, really? That's such a like, leave it to your buddies to like bust your
Yep.
chops. And of course they will. And that's my gender, right? Take it
Mhm.
or leave it. But it was very funny, like only in that industry, I hope. I mean,
You've
I
never
went through
been
the
pepper
yeah,
sprayed.
no, but I went through the gas chamber of basic training. That's
Oh,
Army.
that's
We've
right.
all been through that. Yeah, everybody remembers that. Great.
Tangent.
Speaking of a day you remember, yeah, there's another day being in the gas chamber and saying, "Take off your mask," and you're like, "No, wait, no, no, no. Why should I say?" That's a tangent. Don't let me go down that road. Have I not told you that story? Oh
No,
boy,
we're not gonna tell that on air
no,
though,
it's not my finest hour.
but I am gonna
Talk about
ask
some
you about
tears.
it after this.
It's not just tears. It's snot. It's vomit. It was a whole.
Okay, okay,
That stuff's not. CS gas is not fun.
okay.
Side note.
So, there's that, and then there's crying at the altar because you're emotional and
Mhm.
you love each other, right? And there's something different. You know what I was thinking about when we were talking about this? I was thinking about our relationship, right? And how we had kind of an unconventional I had our daughter before you,
Mhm.
and so when Dominic came into my life, my daughter was 9 months old, right? And then we got pregnant with our son. This all happened before we got married. So there was like kind of this feeling of, well, we've already got the kids. We're basically a family. Like, do we even need to do this, right? And I'll tell you though, I mean, it was impactful wearing the ring, getting excited for that day. Like, just even though we did very small scale, it changes the dynamic of your relationship.
For sure. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody, yeah, unconventional is the word. Like, no, very, every story is different. And I love asking too, like, we've always asked, like, how'd y'all meet? Like, and we have
Yes.
so many great stories of how people met. But a lot of people are like, oh, we met online. But then somebody told me, like, the way you and I met, they were like, oh, you met in real life. Like, is that a thing now? It's like, oh, you met like out in the real world. It wasn't just online. Cause obviously there's an advantage to saying, can we just cut through all the nonsense and just see if we have something in common? And
Yes.
you can do that online where it's just like, I just want this, I want this, and this is non-negotiable. Let's move on. If you're not that person, thanks for playing. Swipe, you know.
Right.
But you meet in real life and you're like, oh, wow. Or we got introduced to friends, or we knew each other in high school, but we didn't date till after college. All the stories are really fantastic. But this is to our earlier point, like with the pictures and stuff, it's a snapshot in time, right? It's that moment
Mhm.
that you really can capture. And you can do it at the JOP, right? But for all your family and friends to be there and up on that stage and just to commit figuratively on stage in front of everybody and commit to each other, that's like that's the moment in time that, and people remember that. People will say, oh, yeah, did you ever meet him? Like, oh, yeah, yeah, I met him at your wedding. Like, people remember it,
Yes,
you know?
they do. I mean, they're big, important days for people, and again, that leads to stress and anxiety, and that's what we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. So that
Financial also, yeah.
yeah, that is always going to be part of it, but it's just so important. I can't even tell you how much, and I remind my couples even through the planning process as we're having meetings leading up, right? I like to not just talk about the logistics of the event.
Mhm.
Like, let's talk about, uh, for example, our couple that we're doing in St. Louis in December, they just finished designing and making together their wedding invitations. They sat down with the Cricut and spent that time
Making it?
creating, yes, their invitations
And,
together.
and what, they made 150 of them? Or
Yes, I'm not kidding you.
wow.
And
Okay.
so, it was I wanted to
Kudos.
hear
That's, yeah.
yes, I wanted to hear all about, like, the little arguments, like, what it took for them to get through this process, and
That's the DIY that becomes the DIY.
no, but it
Wow.
didn't for them, like,
That's
they
fantastic.
enjoyed it, and it was just a great we laughed about, some of the things they said, and I try to just get them to that place, right, to
Mhm.
focus on the fact that they spent time together, and now they're gonna have that story to tell too, right? It's just really fantastic.
Well, when I was talking about the JOP earlier, it's less exciting justice of the peace, right? To go downtown.
We
But if I
we
was DJing
know.
it, no, I would DJ it. They'll be like, "Are we ready? Let's bring in the JOP." And be like, because you got to make it legitimate to have that person there. That's when you'd play too legit. Here comes the justice of the peace in the robes, right? Hey, and be like the JOP. Wah!
What?
And then the JOP could start by saying, "Y'all ready for this?" I'm trying to make it more
Yeah.
exciting, more
What
memorable with the
what is
JOP.
that, like an '80s music video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all ready for this? That's what the person would say before. And then I would switch to bam, 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 bam.
We're getting a little silly on this podcast episode. Oh my
It'll
gosh.
be fine.
Yeah. So, let's try to stay focused because we go off on tangents quite often.
I think I got all my notes. I covered all these things that I wrote down when I was excited to talk about this. There it is. See, too legit to quit. You asked me, I'm like, what is that for? And I go, just you wait. Just you wait.
So, I wanna talk about something that has nothing to do with today's topic, right? So, we are working on something, I kind of alluded to it in one of our posts. A big thing for us is music, obviously,
Yep.
right? A lot of what we talk about, what we do has to do with your wedding music. We have our music planner, which has been great for people that's available in our shop, but we really are gonna try to dedicate some time this summer to developing a much more robust way for you to organize and pick your music selections.
Say the word playlists.
Playlists,
We're
right?
trying. People have asked, but I'm like, it's been kind of a slippery slope to be careful with it. But
So
uh,
we're working on developing a subscription opportunity where we can help and you can download playlists and songs and organize all that good stuff. So that's coming down the pipe. I just talk about it just a little tiny bit.
well, all the music that's on the playlist of the music planner, if you're in the country, you'll recognize the country ones, but some of the classics, you might be like, "I don't know that song." But
Right.
if you hear it, you'll be like, "Oh, wait, wait, wait. Yeah, yeah, yeah." I mean, and
Exactly.
we've all been there where you're like, "Do I know it?" Play it, and you hear it and you go, "Oh, yeah, of course I know this song. I didn't know that was the name of it, whatever." But the playlists are different. You see it, you click it, and you're like, "Yeah, okay, no."
Yeah.
Or, "I know this one," and like, "Oh, this would be a perfect," because, you don't know the name, but you would hear it and recognize it. That's the advantage of the playlist over just the list, right?
Yes. So we're catching up with technology, basically. We're coming into
I'm scared. I'm scared to do it because it's like because people are touchy about the rights to music, but Spotify had become like
yeah.
a whole different, and Apple Music as well, but they're even more. So
So
anyway, it's a thing. We're trying to use caution.
yeah, look for that. Just a reminder too that we do virtual planning. You can book one-on-one sessions with the two of us or just one of us, depending on what you're wanting to work on. That's a lot of fun. We've been doing a couple of those lately.
I have a note left. I have one note left that I'll
I
talk
you
about.
always
No,
do. And we also travel. So we are really excited.
boy, don't we?
We
New
just booked
Hampshire.
New Hampshire and we're super excited to go to New
You
Hampshire. So
booked it. I wasn't even usually I take the first call, but you took it. And I'm like, okay, fine. You don't even need me. Let's go.
Well, you'll be going. So I will need you at that point.
Okay, so I have my other note. So
One note.
we were talking kind of about the couple, right? But there's moments over the course of the day where if you're really close with your dad or your mom, because you can do a dance with your mom. But so I have the note that I wrote down. This happened. I've been meaning to bring this up, but it's like I had a random guest come up to me after bride and dad because they were close, and dad came walking off from the side because the way I introduced the dance with the dad, if the bride is dancing with her dad, is after it's usually after the first dance, and I'll say, whatever, give me a name.
Carrie.
Carrie?
I don't know.
Boy's name.
Oh, Steve.
I always just say, if it's the girl, I'll say, Steve, this is the only time tonight anyone will ask you to step away from your beautiful bride. And I would like to invite the first man in her life to join our bride on the dance floor. And usually there's an, oh, I'm like, that's correct. That is the correct response
It
to
totally
that
is.
moment.
Yep.
And if dad comes out and he's already like, he's like, because he knows it's coming and he knew this moment. It's like, and he just watched his daughter dance with her husband. So that's emotional. And then dad comes walking out and it's just like, and the crowd's just like, we do this. And he's a crier or whatever, you know. And so dad comes out. I had a random guest come up to me after that. We'd open the dance floor. And she came up and she goes, that got me. I stopped and I text my dad during the dance. I said, I love you, Dad. I'm like, really?
Oh my God.
It was so, I mean.
Okay, if
so,
you're watching this on YouTube, you can see
stop,
that,
don't you
that
have to
this
say-
man is in tears
No,
right now,
I'm not in
remembering this.
tears. I'm just welling up a little bit. But I mean, that's like, I wish that would happen to us. Right?
Yes.
Somebody, we have a relationship with our kids. That's great, but they're little. Hopefully, you know, I saw this TikTok recently where they said, what's success to you? Success is having your kids want to come to your house
Spend time with you.
as adults when they're adults, right? Because they don't have any choice now. We'll lock them in the room with us. That's too bad. You're in the car with us, road trip.
Yeah,
Hear
you
all the
have no
dad jokes.
choice.
But it was a really powerful. She obviously had a good relationship with her dad.
Right.
I don't know if she was married or not, but I don't think we didn't get any conversation. She just said like, I had to text my dad and tell him I loved him because that was such a pretty moment. I'm like, golly, yeah, that's like,
Yes.
that's a big moment. That was really, I thought it was powerful. It was a powerful thing to somebody random just come up. It was so powerful. She said, I got to go tell the DJ. I'm like, okay, thanks, random person, but it stuck with me too. So
it absolutely did. And it
Yeah.
should, right? So that's even more to our point, reasons to have a wedding,
yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't
Moments
get
like
those at the
that.
justice of the peace. You're not going to have your dad walk up and dance. Excuse me, Your Honor, like the dance with my daughter on our wedding day. Like, okay.
Yeah. So all the things, right? All the feelings. And we wish that for all of you, right? There will be stress, there will be anxiety, but
It's worth it in the end.
it can be worth it in the end if you can keep that mentality of this is why you're doing it. And you really have people around you that help support you in that and keep you in the bubble of bliss.
And the other video I did recently where I said, like, you know what? You spent a month looking for those perfect candles and you couldn't get the right color or the right tone or the right size or the right length, or there wasn't enough of them in stock. So you had to go somewhere else and you couldn't match the color. On your wedding day, you will not even see a single candle. There's so much going on. And then after you'll be like, oh my God, I spent all that time stressing and crying and worrying over the candles. And when the day came, there was just so much stimulation at every corner of my vision that I didn't even like. Don't even remember the candles.
I hope you don't remember the candle. I mean, honestly, right? Because that's not where I want your head. I don't want that to be what you're thinking about.
I mean, because seriously, you'll be sitting down at your sweetheart table and you'll be just like, oh my God, you just got introduced in the room. Maybe you just had your first dance and you sit down and you're like, oh my God, look, there's my Aunt Julie. You're like, oh my God, Aunt Julie, you've told me so much about her. Like, there she is. Hi, she came all the way from Seattle. That is one blip on the screen where everything is happening, you know, and like, it's just so much. So don't stress on the candles. There it is. Or whatever. The candle is just a filler for whatever it is that you're just like banging your head against the wall about.
So true. Okay, so look for all the good things, right? More posts about music, updates on what we were just talking about as far as our new launch. And then let us know if we can help you. Email us hello@theweddingduo.co, not .com, it's .co.
I'm gonna get a shirt that says that, not .com.
Yeah, because it drives us crazy. It's
a thing.
Talk about stress and anxiety. But we wish you all the best. Happy wedding planning. We will end it the way we always do.
This is a great example. It is your day. Pick the candles you want. But don't let somebody talk you into something you don't want to do or talk you out of something you have your heart set on. It's your day. You can do it how you want to. Another reason to have a wedding, because ever there's a day you can make it all about you. This is the day. It's all about you. You get to pick everything if you want to. See you next time.
See you next time. Mwah.
Hey, so thanks for listening to our podcast. If you found any of this information helpful and you know someone who may be engaged or is a maid of honor, maybe you could tell them and share it with a friend.
Absolutely. So screenshot this episode, share it on Instagram, on Facebook, and tag the wedding duo. We promise to share the love back. Also, if you are interested in more resources or the show notes, you can go to theweddingduo.co. We have one-on-one virtual sessions, a shop, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out.